Got a witness now.
You're live.
All right. Good morning, everyone. For the record, I'm Damian Leonard from the Office of Legislative Counsel. So just introducing myself briefly, I think all of you know me. I've been with Legislative Counsel. This will be my 11th session. So since 2014, I started after the session ended in 2014. Previously, I've been doing mostly labor and employment. So a lot of you may know me from that work. Now I cover transportation, administrative rules, and I still cover building and energy codes because I'm a fan of codes and construction. So as I was telling some people before we went on the record, I'm really happy to be in this position. It's a role in Legislative Counsel that I've wanted to be in for a long time. And so I'm looking forward to working with all of you. I am still new to it though, so I'm still learning a lot. It's amazing how complicated and how nuanced a lot of these issues are. So I'm looking forward to working through all of that with you.
In your private life, aren't you an expert at transporting children?
I am. I spend a lot of time driving Vermont roads. Yeah, a lot of time on Route 2.
And in a new car.
In a new car, although my new car is in the body shop because 2 weeks after we got it, a teenager backed their car into it, parked on the street. But we're hopefully getting it back next week. So yeah, I'm experiencing the EV rollout. We got an EV as our second car because my daughters play hockey, and we got to the point this year where we couldn't do it with one car. Otherwise, we live here in Montpelier, so we've done a lot of walking to work. My wife works from home. I work here, so but yeah, now it's I've been getting used to things, and it was I actually drove the car I ended up buying for the first time at one of the Drive Electric Vermont events that AOT puts on here. And I thought it was a great car. I was like, oh, my wife would like this car. And then we test drove it, and she's like, I like that car. So, but yeah, I do spend a lot of time transporting kids, but I'm also an enthusiast for other forms of transportation too. So trains, planes, even boats, although, yeah, I'm not as much a water person. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm very happy to be here. And looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. We're just here, because we know you two are going to do most of the work.
The second half of the video. So for the record, I'm Logan Newberry. I'm a fiscal analyst at the Joint Fiscal Office. I am the transportation analyst. This is my second year doing it. I was here last year, my first year, which is great. Learned a lot, still learning a lot, and excited to see where we go this year. If there's any questions that you'll have, I'm sure they'll come up. Let me know. Happy to talk about whatever transportation thing you guys want to talk about.
A little more of your background, please.
Before this.
Before this, let's see. I lived in Denver, Colorado. That's where I got my master's degrees. And then I worked at a company out in Denver, just doing some pretty basic pricing analysis and helping them with their products out there. Wasn't really my favorite, so I decided to come out here, get this job, and been loving it ever since. Moved here, I think, right before Christmas last year, so I've been here almost a year.
Did you have a connection to Vermont?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Did you have a connection, or did you?
Been to Vermont a few times and have family in the New England area, but no like real connection here in Vermont. But I love it, and so far I have been.
Where did you grow up?
Let's see, kind of all over Midwest generally. Was born in Pennsylvania, Illinois, Iowa, Arkansas, and then out to Colorado now. So kind of my general feel. So
Great.
but yeah, let me know if anything comes up before the next time I'm in. Happy to answer any questions. Excited for short years to come.
I'm sure the two of you are gonna recognize that quickly.
Yes.
Speaking about Shaw,
I know. Just
and do you have anything else you'd like?
I'm done. That is all.
All right. Well, since we're talking about shy and
I know.
feeble, well, maybe you should go now.
Okay, well, I think I know everybody. I'm Becca White and I have wanted to be on Senate Transportation since I was elected to the House. Because I think that this committee is potentially the most important committee in the state House. I truly mean that. We have the largest independent budget outside of an appropriations committee, but we also do policy work and we impact every Vermonter, as everyone else has pointed out. So I truly, this is like a real honor
Third
to,
largest.
yeah, it's a big honor. So I really appreciate that I get to be a part of this group. And I think we've got a lot of good work we can do. My background, I was on natural resources last session, but before that, when I was in the House, for 4 years, I was on House transportation. I come from, the tutelage of Representative Kurt McCormick, who is my first chair. And I prioritize non-vehicle transportation in all forms when possible, because I believe that our transportation sector and the carbon emissions that come from it are something that we have a moral imperative to respond to. And I think Vermont can be a leader on that. And I'm also from Windsor County. And I'm from White River Junction and the village of Wilder. And if you know White River Junction, we are trains, almost planes, and we have the most road miles of any town in the state. And we have 4 exits in my town. So all of that, and we have the bus stops, we have public transportation. We are moving and grooving, and I think that transportation has a huge impact on my community. So interested in that. I served on my select board before I got into the state house. And just to build off the previous conversation, town highway aid funding is a major conversation topic that I'm hoping we can delve into over the next 2 years. Because I think our towns are hurting, and as the continued climate crisis implications for roads and bridges happens, I think our towns are going to be needing even more support than we've ever seen. So yeah, those are my big issues. And I'm happy to be vice chair.
Awesome. I'm I guess I'm happy to be here, but so I've served in the legislature since 1983, and I came in as a freshman with Alice Evans. So been here a while. Pat and I served on before I chaired before I chaired transportation in the House, which I did for 5 years. And Pat was with me all 5 of those years. I chaired the appropriations committee. So I have a long experience of it. There are a number of things in the budget when we come to it. I will be you'll see when they talk about the TIP bond fund, we created the TIP bond fund. I think that was the last time they've adjusted revenues into the transportation fund since then. But I think that's the last really big structural change within the funding of transportation, was that effort that created the TIP bond fund. At that point in time, we were in a very bad position with the upkeep of our bridges. We had just about reached the end of the life of all of the bridges that were attached to the 27th float. And so we had a huge bump. We spent a couple of summers running around the state, going to crappy bridges and making editorial boards and radio hosts and all sorts of people around the state climbing under bridges that were falling apart. And we had to create a urgency of the need. And but we were at a place at that time when half of the bridges in the state were, had something wrong. And, partly because of Irene, partly because of the last great recession, all of that. We, a lot of that is turned around. And, roads are in better shape now than they were at that period of time. For me, I would say, I think we're reaching a point now where with the instability of revenues to the agency, we're at a concern.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested in working on it. The only reluctance about being a chair is how much time all of this is going to take. And for me, I have a pretty busy life outside here. I work at VSAC and run the college savings program. That, we now have a little over 30,000 investors and well over 600 working towards 700 million in assets. And my job is to oversee the plan. I'm pretty partial because I was there the day we took the first account. And I have a farm at home. I think you were there seeing those.
Yeah, I have some, yeah, I have photos. We can.
And I have an apartment rental business and a few other things. I have a 25, about to turn 26-year-old that is my partner, and we're building housing units actually on the Willamette Valley Rail Trail. So and we keep talking about putting yurts along the trail. And so there's a few facets of all of that. I dragged him along one day and said, here's a little bit of the ride.
I recommend the Ritchie tour here and.
Yeah, it's on Westman Road, but I get no credit for the name of the road because the family's been there way longer. And, you know, I think the name came from generations before. But I think this will be a good working group. And say to you, I think, you know, there's a possibility in this committee with this group of people that I don't think there has been in a lot of other places. I would say my concern after 40 years in this building is the stridentness of issues and the politics in place. And there's a lack of willingness to come together and work things out. And I think some of that is social media has done that to us. But I think there's the room in a small room like this, particularly with people that want to deal with the issues that are at hand in the day, that we have the opportunity to come together. And I think that's a way. You know, it wasn't easy back in the day when we put a wholesale tax on gasoline, but it helped us bring the transportation system back to, I think, a place that we're in a better place. And a lot of people, a lot of work in the 9 years that you were in transportation to help see those things through. But I think that took a lot of bending at the time. Neil Lenderville was Secretary of Transportation. Jeff Spalding was the treasurer at the time. The Douglas administration, which was not keen on raising revenue, but and a Senate with Senator Maslowitz, but we all in the end came together. and found a way to pull very divergent points of view together. And I think we're always better finding long-term solutions when people from all across the spectrum come together. Rarely does decisions that come out of extremes last very long. That's about me. And I will want to hear from each of you priorities and then difficulty in here is you really have a community that's at two levels. We have budgets to do because we have to pay people and we have to plow the roads. So that comes first to work through all of those issues. And then initiatives that we might have are on top of that. So we get dictated a little bit of the pathway that we have to follow. And then how do we incorporate in that? And, you know, it is a little different than our friends across in the house that spend all day on one thing. And because we've got
You've got appropriations in the afternoon, a chair, and then I may go up, so it's like.
right,
we-
and a party leader.
Yeah, so it's a busy crew, yeah.
So it's gonna be. And Damien and Logan, yeah, I asked Megan if we could get some, she's gonna get her chance, you know. And we've got Patrick from the agency, so I've asked Megan to put together a list with emails, cell phone, that sort of stuff. And so are you, Patrick, under any rush to get anywhere?
No, I can wait here.
Okay, because I'm gonna have Megan go next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Canella. I'm your committee assistant. I was here last session and that was my first ever session. And I also, I assist this committee during the session. I also supervise and train all of the committee assistants. I have 21 people who I'm supervising and 12 brand new that we had to train this year. So,
So
lot
besides,
going on.
besides us cats, you're trying to keep, you got a few other cats.
I have a few other irons in the fire, yes. And previously I worked at Norwich University teaching English for 8 years. My degree is in teaching English to speakers of other languages, so I worked lots with international students. I haven't looked back since I left teaching. Teaching in the post-COVID world was a lot different. So it's a little bit like school here, though, at the Vermont General Assembly. I'm excited to work with you and be behind the scenes and arrange all the things you want arranged. Here to help. Thank you.
And we're all gonna do what she tells us.
Number one.
Follow her. And she's gonna have the calendar, she's gonna tell us to the head.
Sherry protects us in an evacuation situation, so.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
And Michelle is here on Zoom, just FYI.
Can we see her? Is she just, are you there?
There.
Oh, there she is. So we're gonna set Patrick in the chair and you guys can talk to us about yourselves and what your roles are and what you're doing.
Thank you.
So however you want to go.
Michelle, do you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, Patrick. So welcome. It's great to be here with all of you. It's great to see the new members on the committee and familiar faces that we've worked with for a long time. So it's going to be an exciting year. There's obviously always a lot of challenges. It seems that there's never enough money and there's always too many projects and needs. And that's not changing. So we will have to definitely put our heads together and be as creative as we possibly can. So my role as I'm Michelle Boomhauer with the Vermont Agency of Transportation. I serve as the Policy Planning and Intermodal Development Director, and our intermodal components are rail, aviation, and public transit, and you'll hear more about that in the weeks to come. I have been with the agency for the past 10 years, and in that role, one of my principal duties was to work at the State House between January and the end of May, usually, and to be at your service and provide support for the committees and the members of the General Assembly with regards to any information you need about the transportation agency or troubles that are occurring that you need assistance with trying to come to a resolution on. So Patrick and I are the people to look to. I am taking a role of stepping back a little bit so that I don't have 1.5 jobs during this period of the year, but just my maybe 1.25, we'll say. So Patrick is stepping in as the state policy director. It's a new position we've created this year, and we're really excited to have him filling that role. In my tenure at the State House, I have learned an immense amount about the agency and about the workings of the State House, and have developed some really rich relationships with legislators and committees. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to be able to do that. Before I came to VTrans, I worked for about 8 years with the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. I joined them before they were merged with the Chittenden County Metropolitan Planning Organization, which was their transportation arm of regional planning that is a federally funded function in the Chittenden County area. The Metropolitan Planning Organization is a designation from Federal Highway that is for urban-sized areas of a specific census count. And so that's the only designated MPO in the state, and their resources are significant. They have a larger planning staff than the agency does in terms of their resources in support of the functional area that they cover. So I served as the transportation planning director, assisted with the merger of the MPO and the Regional Planning Commission, and learned a lot about more things at the project level, and did a lot more work in land use and transportation planning at that level. And then prior to that, from 1993, I think, to 2008, I was at the Lamoille County Planning Commission, where I started doing geographic information services, systems work, mapping, that sort of thing. Was an emergency planner, and then became the executive director, which I served in that role for about 10 years, doing a lot of work in housing and telecom and energy planning. So I've had a pretty diversified career in public service. Before Lamoille County Planning, I also did short stints with as an Act 250 assistant district coordinator in the Northeast Kingdom, and some work at the Agency of Natural Resources in a few different divisions on a part-time basis. So all of these things have come together to create what I think has been a rich understanding of how transportation is cross-cutting, as Senator White pointed out, into so much of everything that we do, and have to address in our society. So with that, unless there are questions for me, or you can save them for later, I can turn it over to Patrick.
we go to Patrick and then.
Sure. So for the record, Patrick Murphy, the Agency of Transportation. I've been with the agency for about 3.5 years. Most of my time has been focused on climate related policy, on EV incentives, EV charging, and doing a lot of work around planning for electrification. Had a number of prior roles in policy and planning. I've been in the state of Vermont for about say 6 years now, originally from Massachusetts, and moved up here with my family to the Burlington area. And what else to say? Most of my work experience is actually in the trades, bricklayer, stonemason. But as I get older, that percentage has gone down. So spent about 15 years in the trades. Yeah, looking forward to working with you all and on what you need and where your interests are.
Is this your first winter in the building?
I've been in the building multiple times related to my prior work, my electrification. Some of the folks here have got me in several times, so.
How long you worked with the agency? And more than 2 years.
3.5 years or so. So we have a number of reports, legislative reports that you all required of us, and a lot of testimony around that. I've heard the chair's interest in looking at funding and finance, and one of the reports is focused on that. Another initiative that I've continued to work on in this role is the mileage-based user fee for electric vehicles to begin and making sure that all vehicles are paying their fair share and contributing to not just EV infrastructure, but roads and bridges and the like. So that is something that we'll have on the agenda for this session. But
So they did have the report. It's due on the 15th.
that's right.
That this committee, the legislature asked for last term, so we very soon will have something about that as soon as you guys have something.
Good.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you also have a report, I believe, coming around auto technician pay and then kind of insurance rates. There's like an overview.
Potentially from the DMV, I'm not aware of that.
Oh, okay.
I remember wasn't.
This, perhaps I'm mistaken. I'll follow up, but I think there's something coming around like general pay scale for those folks or the rate of reimbursement. I don't know if that's like an every year thing that just happens, but
Dealerships?
and any it's like the insurance. I'll have to look up the title of it,
Yeah,
but I'm
I
hoping
don't
we're gonna.
recall that being on sort of our list of reports. We have a lengthy list,
Could we get?
questions.
Yeah, we're gonna get that list and we'll go through. We probably won't have all of the reports. You come in.
They're staggered, so some are due the 15th, some are already due. then.
We'll take a look at the list and we'll go through it. Sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions for? I would make a request. I know that, Commissioner of Finance is in, House Appropriations in 2 minutes to talk about the budget adjustment. And we'll go through what pieces there are there in detail. I understand maybe something about a garage that, from the fall, and there were a number of people on joint fiscal interested in how the money moved around that. And, but whatever, at a high level, if we could get an email from you about what might be in the budget adjustment sometime this afternoon before the weekend. And then, that will be the first functional thing that we have to start picking our way through is the budget adjustment. And we'll probably start some of that next week.
Certainly.
Have a quick meeting with that.
I think we're just about done, so why don't you go?
Okay.
So if we could get that from you, I think that's all we had for today.
All right. Will
Thanks.
do.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna have on the list both of your contacts.
Sure.
Because I'm sure we're going to want to contact you.
Sounds good.
Like I haven't done before.
Day and night, I know.
It will be good to work with you again, Michelle.
Thank you.
And nice work to touch base with you.
Yeah. Good to be here. All right, great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
I think that's it. That's all I had for today.
Thanks, man.